Disclaimer: the information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
In the world of creation, we had the two extremes, except in the case of the Creator and Mitra, where we could never bring the functionality of the soul within the functionality of physicality. We had the physicality hidden within the soul, or soul within the physicality, or in conjunction of the two, one would never had the understanding of the totality, where we could transit but exist in both directions. With the new cycle, this is what Einstein said: when you turn one atom, the other atom changes. This new dimension will blow that field which commonly exists between all the cells of the universe into that position, which means all the created things, as a gift from the Creator in a way, become able to transmute between the two dimensions. There's a reason for this, and it's taken a long time for it to be done, and it has reached its pinnacle and it will be completed. It's already in the process of being completed. Was to take from the essence of the soul of every created things of the time, beginning of time, an essence of the creation of the soul or the center, and create a new creature which carries all the essence of the created in the new soul, which can with it go from the soul of the Creator to the soul of physicality of Mitra. This is what the whole knowledge is. The Creator is the universe, and Mitra the dimension of physicality and its behavior towards the dimension of physicality. And with a new system, every creature in the universe will have the understanding of the capability to transmute between the two. This has a lot of implication for all races in the universe, because now they all become the same. In the coming time, we will see even change in the position of galaxies, position of universes. Many systems will move due to the changes which has been brought. Man doesn't have that knowledge as such to monitor, but we'll have the knowledge to see, we'll have the time to see that with the new fields, as we call it, a lot of things will move in the right position to keep that ability to change between the two. That you don't need to kill to keep the physicality going, you don't need to steal. And the soul does not need to be engaged or to escape, to be out on its own, to be able to confirm its existence. And this process will complete very soon. That the whole of universal community will be able to have the benefit of the two, both in the dimension of energy or matter, which never existed. When we released the soul, we had to get rid of the physicality. You call it death. When we brought the soul, you had to give it the physicality, and you go through the dimension of the birth, and then you have the whole commotion of bringing the two. With a new system, both soul and the soul of physicality work together in the existence of dimension. We expect a massive change in the physical characteristics of human race in the coming century, because we change into the emotion of the physicality. The way, as I said many times, but many never understood, Indians and Pakistanis were the same, till one chose to take different kind of energy in the other one, and we see change of the feature. Now, with the balance between the soul of the man and the soul of physicality of man, many of us will change feature, without a shadow of a doubt. Man will change the faces of anger, man will change the faces of hate, man will change the face of warmongering, because we get satisfied in the fields of it. And this is part of what will be and what has already started, and the completion of will be the birth of Mitra. Physical completion of birth of Mitra in a physical dimension, not in myths. And then we have the soul of the Creator, which the two will complete the cycle. And then, as I said very recently to one of the listeners, then we'll see if Adam will eat from the apple of love and giving it. And then we'll see how humanity will change. And the whole creation will change. We are at the verge of that change. Much, much closer than anybody could think of, not only a human race.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our 570th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, December 26, 2024. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation, Spaceship Institute Education Department, and part of the public teachings in English. My name's Rick Crammond, and I'll be your host once again in this series of Knowledge Seekers workshops ongoing for over 11 years now. And I think this workshop will be a little shorter. It's our day after Christmas, and people are probably spending more time with their friends and family and whatnot. So we'll have a bit of a shorter workshop. And so let's get started with Mr. Mehran T. Keshe, ready to present once again here. Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Hi, good morning. Morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to the series of knowledge gives from the Keshe Foundation, Spaceship Institute. We are here after the Christmas, and unfortunately, I suffer from very high temperature fever. But we, as usual, keep the session going and try to keep our tradition as has been on the road. What we decided is that today, instead of teaching, we answer any questions, and we try to keep the session as short as possible. And till we come back next week, hopefully in a better condition and a better position. So if there are any questions that you might want to ask, that you've been trying for past year or two, as we haven't had one of these question and answer sessions for a very long time, we would like to hear from you, and then we'll see what we can do. If there's any questions in any way, let us know, and we try to answer.
Okay, that sounds good, Mr. Keshe. Well, let's start with the first question from Brandon in YouTube, who says, do we have an update for when the healing pods will be released publicly? I know we show in our halftime ads and so on, we show the various, what people call pods or healing pods, but are the, various pod-shaped devices that we have, the flight enhancement unit and etc. Will they be released publicly, or are they? We know we have superior technology now.
We have more advanced in a way, like Obesos, the big ones now has been changed more or less in a more powerful way with the headphone units. And the technology advancement does not require the what we call Obesos and material production units. It's in advancement, we have passed the use of these systems. When you run the Obesos, you have some 30, 40 odd systems running. The noise inside is huge. Now we have brought that into static reactors in the lab, and now we run the same thing in conjunction with Dr. Kern, where there is there is no dynamic system anymore. It's an advancement technology, and I don't think we'll see that what you call mesos to ever see or come back, because now the headphones are much more advanced, and the new series of systems coming in literally targets everything. We tested part of this last Friday, and for the first time we can see the shape of the souls of the participants, and from each group we can actually trace the soul of the participant, how their soul separately reacts to what you call to the condition we create. It's very interesting. It's extremely interesting when you see the shape of the soul, and when you analyze it. We could not do this before. It's advancement in technology which has allowed us to do this, and with this we do not need what we call visors anymore, because we can even target the soul. And interesting enough, let me see if I can dig one out for you to see. What we see is very interesting, as we observed in the what we call in the session of last week. We next time we go directly to for the soul of physicality and the physicality to see how they react or how they show themselves in that process. If you look at this picture, it's very interesting. It's a video. I just took a screenshot of it. You see each group cell is totally different. It's not all the same according to the people. And you see repeats itself in the same way as a Mrav system. I don't know, I cannot draw on these things. If you look on the top cluster, this is the universal field. This is where we open up into universe, where the fields come in. You see in a very narrow line, they join in. The central block is the soul of the man. And then the energy transfers, you see a slight line on the top of the structure. It looks like a S if you look deep into it. This is like the top layer of or top stack of the Mrav system. Then you have the central line which transfers energy, in a way balancing it, that for the energy of the soul of the man to connect to the soul of physicality and physicality, which is the bottom line. And then it drops off into the physicality of the man. We see the dimension of the soul directly. If you look somewhere between the top, let me see if I can draw on this. Cannot do these things. Rick, can you take a shot of this and put it back on that I can draw on it? Oh, I can do it here. It's okay. I can do it here. You see, this here is where we open up to the soul, to the space, to the creator. This is the soul of the man. And this is where it connects to soul of physicality of the man. Interesting part is this part, which is here and in here. Let me take it off so that you can see it better. If you take this, is the same with all of your groups, the same way. This is the dimension of the soul in a physical thing. That step exists between all the groups. This is the size of the fields of the soul. And here in the center is where your soul is. In a way, what it means is that if you look, you have this. Exactly like the Mrav system. This is the lower, which connects to the world of physicality. This is the higher. But interesting enough, if you look at this picture, it brings in an amazing reality to all of us. And that is, if you look at this end, somehow it balances with this end. In another group, what we see is a total cavity here. There is nothing in the center. And this is not a static, it's a dynamic structure, and comes from the right side of the brain of the man into the soul, and from the left side goes into the body of the physicality. If you draw a line, you see it. So in a way, we now getting to the point that we physically can structure your soul, see what it is. And in the future, these graphs will give us the condition of your emotion, gives us a condition if you're ready to transmute. And it's just a matter of technological development. We will see a three-dimensional zone that physicality is now come inside, and then the soul is ready to go. We bring in scientific data to it that, when you it's like getting on a jet plane, you run along the runway with the jet till it reaches the point that it can take off. You overcome the speed and the gravity. And in the future, very near future, this will be a feature we look in. And maybe in the next session, in January session, we can identify your three souls, solar physicality and physicality, and see how they react. And we have the intelligence to a level now that we can literally touch your DNA. What does this bring us? Huge advantages. If you look at the different arms of RNA, with a little nudges somewhere, it brings different conditions. Now we developed a technology that literally we can do this, which means any genetic defects can be put right by balancing the fields of the genes by the body itself, not chemically, not any other way. This gives us new dimensions in the work, but we have to mature into the knowledge that these things can be done. Now, with the soul, we can see the emotional condition of the soul. With them, we see the emotional condition of the solar physicality. And as more and more data comes, then we become mature to it, mature into understanding the process of the soul of the man. And if you look at here, in all the figures we see, then you come to understand what we go with the Mrav system is completely the way the soul works. It's the same as the three layers of the skin of the man. You have the top layer, middle layer, and the inner layer. There's a conversion to inside field strength, and the conversion to outside fields, and the conversion between the two to be able to stand outside and inside. That's the purpose of three layers is. And we see the same pattern in the soul of the man. So, with knowledge advancing so much, is there a need for obeisance? The new with the new twins headset which has come, we will get in touch with those of you who bought the cosmic materials. With your permission, can we, or would you allow us to put your cosmic ray material into your headphones? That opens up totally new opportunities into the world of creation, because you connect directly to universal fields. We ask you if you like to have your universal materials into the handset that in the dimension of the fields of what you hold, it connects to the universal field. So obeisas have become obsolete due to development in the knowledge. And we see a lot of advantages in the new system, targeted directly, and with the results we look for. Any other question? Do you have any other question?
I'm sorry, I was muted there somehow. Yes, there's a question in the YouTube from Malcolm, which is you've already partly answered it, if not completely, at least part of his question, which is, what is the difference between the cosmic material and the new twin Mrav and their uses? And then he goes,
Cosmic materials is connection to cosmic rays, to universal fields. Twin sets is connecting two souls together. Two different things.
He goes on to saying, can you extend on the concept of the twin self? Is it a twin in a parallel dimension?
Twin is between you and somebody else, or your physicality and your soul, not connection with dimensions and different time zones and timelines or whatever.
Okay, well, we have a hand up here with Mehran, so let's see what Mehran has to say. Go ahead, Mehran.
Yes. Hello, Mr. Keshe, Rick, everybody. I hope you get better soon. I had a question about about 568 knowledge seeker. In one time you said there are plasmas which come back to themselves and create a star formation, I think, which create carbon 60, and they create universes, if I understood. And my question, you talked about creating universes by crystal plasma or
crystal structures, yeah. Carbon 60, yeah.
Carbon 60. And then I was always thinking universe is full of plasmas, dynamic, which connect with also with others around them the same size. So how come they come back to themselves? Do they connect with other plasmas also to create universes? Or only crystal plasmas can create?
No, when we speak about crystal structure, there has to be clarity between crystal structure in the matter state or crystal structure in the energy state. Crystal structure, when we talk about plasma, is on the energy level, not on the matter level, and has no dimension. In a way, it's like a gas. The gas, when you have a gas, the containment of the gas is the room which is in. If you release a 1 milliliter of gas in a balloon, that's its confinement. You can release the same in a room, and that room will be its confinement. That's a spatial cover. With the energy and the plasma, the fields dictate the condition and the interaction, and not the physical boundary. And with energy in a plasma condition, you are connected by the fields, where in the matter crystal you are limited by the structure. When you are a gas in a room as a crystal structure, the room is the size you are confined to, as a physicality. With the energy crystal structure, you're limited, you're confined, you're connected through the fields, so there is no limitation. And the higher or lower fields dictates your position or your size. And it's totally different understanding of the work. And this is what a lot of times we refer to. A lot of times we refer to that the crystal structure in the energy, in the space, is not a matter state, is a gaseous field space. Has no physicality, but it has a field energy strength condition. And then we decide on the crystal structure according to its strength can be the size of a universe as an energy. Where in the matter state, limitation of the structure itself makes one crystal structure as a diamond on your finger.
So the crystal in fields, the crystal structure in fields, how do they create the universes, which I thought it is, we see the planet, so it's partly material.
It's like a popcorn. You know, you drop a corn in and you popcorn and it expands. It's more or less, if you look at it, is that the structure. To what limit it can go, and to how much energy is within it, which leads to its structure. And that popcorn we call a universe. And it has a limitation of the fields to the center. It has a limitation of other fields outside it, which dictates its limitation. And then it has how it's created in a way by interaction of the fields, how activities and how much it can expand to. It's very much controlled system, but in a chaotic way of finding its place and time and position. It's like when you look at this picture on the screen, you expect the soul to be a spheric shape, but you see it's not a spheric shape in the inner structure. In the outer structure is a spheric. If you look at it, this structure is spherical. Because this is above your head, outside, and this is below your soul to your physicality, your neck, or whatever you call it. In the inner structure is different than the outer structure, and this is how universes are. In all the tests we've done, we always see a rectangular structure in different shape, but we see the leakage on this side and we see the leakage on this side. And if you look at it, is the shape of the plasma going in this direction, anti-clock. Or you come into it as a clockwise and you go out of it anti-clockwise.
And then the line blue and red above, what was it? The straight
Those are
line.
genetic corrections, which now we are working on. This we have reached a point in knowledge that we are testing on genetic modification, not in the way you look at it, in a way in the human race, when you have genetic illnesses. By bringing things in position, you'll find there is no genetic defects. Very recently, we've done a test where you have, let's say, a bone in the structure of the foot broken and bulges out. Doctors put you in the plaster. Doctors put you in the cast, or you need an operation to put these little bones back in the place. We have developed technology. Within 24 hours you walk. There is no sign of breakage, and there is no bulge, there is nothing. You're just carrying with a normal life. We are achieving breakthrough in the knowledge, and the whole bone is sticking out, which is usually the pattern. The bulge, you cannot walk, you have to put the bones back in the structure. Within 24 hours, there is no sign of the breakage and no sign of, we call it bone the deformation.
Fantastic.
It is what we learn, or we have to learn the process. And this is not genetic modification, it's genetic balancing, which means if somewhere in what number gene has moved, which causes such a illness. Now, don't forget, you have to go through all the genes in the body of the man. We have found a way to touch and to change.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same with cancer. We are working on a cancer which, in research coming up, you sit in the machine, and within hours, whatever is in the lump we call the cancer will open up itself. But what's the next step in what to do with it?
And for people who have post-trauma problem, emotional or
those we can handle now with the system, with the headphones. We have to. There's a collection of knowledge where we have to bring in two parts of the work which is done together to see a massive result, big changes. And now we are going through that phase. At the moment, we are very much tied up with a process of where we are involved in governmental work. We're very tied up at the moment, past few weeks, months. And now that we have achieved it, we put it aside, and we're going to the next step in rapid development. We have achieved to create fields, universal fields, and fields which what we call the lion to creator, and how to mix them, and how in mixing the two create, develop, or achieve certain conditions and materials emotionally or physically. Very, very advanced in this at the moment. But now we need to work with structures, governmental structures, to bring this in, and we are on that path at the moment.
Thank you. Good. We are, I think, the advances in Keshe Foundation are way above the normal society now, and
no, it is just we look at things different. We have access to different energy. You see, at the moment, I was discussing it with some officials in past few days. You bring B-52s, you bring the latest stuff, whatever you have. You bring in the most advanced nuclear warheads, intercontinental missiles. You bring in the most advanced tanks. You bring in hypersonic and supersonic aircrafts and whatever. With this technology, it's 1 second job. Because you look at matter state not being detected. We work on the energy states, which the matter state does not exist within it. So all I need to do is to create a dome, create a field area that I don't need to play game of shooting anti-missiles and rockets or whatever. I can put 2 crafts 100 kilometers away from each other and just switch on a certain way a plasma that as a craft goes through, it just disarms, it just does not connect, it just drops like a brick. So let whoever talks about the most advanced technologies, B-52s, B blah blah, there'll be zero. There'll be no functionality. So we have to look at a new defense technology. We have to look at the new characteristics. And this will become part of, the Israelis have what they call a steel dome, which is not there anymore. It's just got so much holes in it, so they call it a SIF dome. It's not a steel anymore. And it's made of plastic because everything goes through it.
Iron Dome, Mr. Keshe.
Iron Dome, yeah.
Iron Dome, yeah.
Iron Dome, what we call the mesh dome at the moment, everything gets through it. So now with this technology, we don't need to. But you have to understand, we didn't develop this technology for military use. We developed this technology for a space use. There are huge, huge applications of this in space. You travel through a cosmic dust environment. You travel through a magnetic field environment. You balance everything. And this is part of that technology. As I said recently, 3 forces are ready to come together. And if we can bring the 3 forces together, there'll be a beginning of the world peace in a very big way. We have the American presidency. We have the Iranian space nuclear technology. And we have finance people who are detached from other finance organizations. And you will see what changes it brings. And then we come to this position of are we fighting Chinese or are we working together to open the space? This debate will come on in the next few days on the international lines. You will see, we will enter this phase of discussion with the world leaders.
Thank you very much.
Well, you see, you have to understand in the discussion which is getting written up to be delivered in the next few weeks, we have explained to the Trump administration, we have explained to the Russian administration, and the Chinese are a different ballgame in this anyway, that Trump is pushing that there'll be no more war. For how long? There'll be no war during his administration. But we have 2 options. We close all the weapon factories, all the missile factories, all research and development in the latest weapons, and there's nothing to produce. There's no more missiles. We got rid of literally every single missile has been made in past 20 years, has been used in Ukraine. Whatever was left over since Vietnam War and the rest of it has been cleaned out. So they are building new weapons. Lockheed Martin is at it making new missiles, and this guy wants to go to peace. They're gonna kill him. Or if he can keep not to go to war, what are you gonna do with the factories, with the people? They can't sit there with tiddly-dum, tiddly-do. So you have the top scientists in space, in whatever, going to become farmers and street cleaners because there's no job in defense, because the guy wants peace. When he wants peace, he can't produce tools of war. An estimated 30 to 40 million Americans will be without job. Or we produce and wait after the 40s, when he's gone, we start hammering everything out again. Or we create a condition that we do not go creating tools of war, which Keshe Foundation technology will come into play. Technology in exchange for peace. And this is getting planned out in the next few weeks, and you will see it directly, publicly. We cannot at the moment do anything for the next 20 days, 26 days, because whatever we do, the Biden administration will block it, because they're in power. So we have to wait till 21st. This is the delay, where we can talk to administration, government to government. And this is the way the game is played. We have to bite our tongue, and you will see in public channels, we are setting it up very slowly, putting our finger in the water, bringing this matter up. If you want world peace, if you want to be no more war, is it just through your term or forever? And if it's forever, you have to give new condition, new position, new technology that man doesn't think about the war to make the tools of. But at the same time, you cannot disarm one nation and the others at it, hammering, building the greatest weapons. Average 3.2%. Some people talk about 2.6% of world GDP is spent on military. You have 26 trillion, and you have 4% expenditure on the military. 30% of it is on wages, on personnel. Then you can see the scale of work. And we have to come with an alternative. Open the space, open new technologies, open the truth about what's happening. And we'll come to a new condition. We'll see how the government responds and how we can bring new condition and new balance into it. We have to come up with a new technology to divert man from this mayhem of war and arms of today.
I wish you all the best lucks. And
It's all of us.
You are very patient with humanity.
We got to be, we are hoping, and we are working on that way. And you have to give an alternative, while the other one doesn't feel weak. Now we see in the Ukrainian position is totally upside down. Mr. President of Ukraine has asked from 9 different nations to give him asylum because he knows that they're going to get him. He came in worth $100,000. Today, he's worth in excess of 14 billion. And this is the reason he pushes for war. Every day makes a million. It's been very profitable war for him to extend as much as he can. Any other question?
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mehran. We have a couple of hands up here. Ionka, I think might be how that's pronounced. Would you like to go ahead, please? And if you could say who you are and where you're from, that would be great.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, hi, I'm Ilonka, and I'm from the Netherlands. And we have a plasma lab in the Netherlands together with my partner Timo. And I have been studying the plasma for 2.5 years now. I study all the knowledge seekers workshops and make notes about it and teach it to other people. But now I have a question about the CRM. When the fields are in the same strength, they balance each other out.
Explain to people what CRM means.
Sorry, the cosmic ray material, that's where my question is about. And when the fields, the plasma fields, are in the same strength, they balance each other out because they have the same strength, so they become one. Then the fields become transparent. So matter can become transparent when two of the same fields are the same strength. The cosmic ray material could do the same, but what I don't understand is that the cosmic ray material cannot only balance humans, but also any matter. So how does that work? How can it balance everything?
First of all, the balancing of fields to become transparent, not to be seen, is a technology on its own, which has been developed by the Keshe Foundation a long time ago. It's as part of the defense technology. You see me now, you don't see me now, if you understand it. Secondly, the cosmic ray material is not exactly the same. They cannot be because they're produced in different conditions and they're produced by different machines. And there are a spectrum of fields, and none of the two, put it this way, balls are exactly the same content and energy and fields. To create a balanced fields, which makes you invisible in a way, is a totally different technology. And that needs understanding of a system where we balance the fields inside and outside, where the middle layer doesn't exist, theoretically, if you understand what it means. That middle layer is where the conversion takes and manifestation of the physicality. When you go into a transparency or elusive, is when the middle layer doesn't exist. It's like a Mrav system without the middle tray. And it's a special technology. It's a very, very elaborate technology, and it works. But you need to know how to treat the fields and how to bring them into separation. And then you become transparent. You're not seen.
Well, that's what happened actually with the Mrav setup that Ali had and what was it, in 2014 or 15, when his hand disappeared, or didn't
More or
show
less.
anymore.
Yeah.
And so I do understand a little how that works. So, but the cosmic ray material is not the same like that. But what then did you mean that it interacts with everything?
Because it's within an environment. It's a spectrum of fields. You can literally disappear a planet.
And if I put the four, we will get four cosmic ray balls. And if I put them in a star formation and sit in between, is that wise, or would it be too strong?
Depends how, and depends how you position yourself. Yes, you can connect into, and then they tell you gone crazy.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you very
Keshe.
much. Thank you for your work in Holland.
Thank you. You're
I
welcome.
met you and your partner in Amsterdam last year.
Yes, we did. We have
Yeah,
good
I
memories
remember.
about that. Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. We usually, when we go to some countries, we inform knowledge seekers and we meet with them private. We had the pleasure to meet the couple and some handful of other knowledge seekers in Amsterdam. Any other question?
Yes, we have a number of questions in the Q&A, so let's take a couple of those. And we have a hand up with Brett here as well. So let's start with Gerhard in the Q&A, who says, Mr. Keshe, you mentioned that people are prepared for the transition into old age. One of the consequences is that older people over the age of 80 can hardly move. Is there any way to correct this?
You are correct, but not when you're in the hand of the Keshe Foundation. We ran a test with a medical group this year where the lady is in her 80s, I think, if I'm correct. She is more or less 90, 100% vertical bend. She cannot literally, if you look at it, you're bent when you want to sit. You cannot even go down below hip height. And in a matter of a few weeks, the lady can more or less sit completely down. She is more or less vertical 10 degrees, 15 degrees. And she can do a lot of other things. She can move her arms, which she couldn't do, and everything else. If people left in the hand of the work of the plasma, you should live a very normal life till 3 weeks before, when the energy of the body runs out and what we call the death appears. 80, 100, doesn't matter, irrelevant. Old age, now with the plasma technology, cannot be a suffering time age. Makes you more active. It just depends how you use what you use and how you produce your material. We done this with one of the major companies in the world in conjunction with the Keshe Foundation. And even people with a stick, after a few weeks, they don't use a stick and they can walk. And we even have a video of them running. So all age is now, the matter is just how to handle it. We all die. That's a principle of life on this planet. But one way or another, if you understand the knowledge, being old does not mean you have to be crippled, sitting and not doing anything. It's just how we do it and how we apply the technology. And we've done that. I wish I could show the picture of this lady, and we've done this a few times. Pharmaceuticals don't like to see these technologies. And I'm sure we're not the only one. You don't need to do any exercises. You just apply the gases and you just walk. This trial was so successful that the military general, took us to ransom, threatening us and everything else. But we'll take our position back in the coming time. Any other question?
Okay, thank you. We have a question from Marco from the Brazilian community in our Q&A. Is a cyclone a plasma? And what fields does it use to form itself?
Cyclones are a combination of, or hurricanes is a combination of matter and energy. And partially is a matter state conversion with the energy from the inner sanctum. And this repetitive energy system is very much like a vortex as we see in the bathroom. But in the case of the larger scale, you have the magnetic field of the earth part plays in this process. Any other question?
Yeah, let's go to Brett here and go ahead, Brett.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you.
Same to
With
you.
with all the love that I can muster. Mr. Keshe, this is a little bit off topic, but I've for years now, I can't get this out of my head. So the creation creates for a certain period of time and then contracts and comes in on itself. In essence, the living of the universe stops. So, knowing that at some stage we have immigrated from another universe to come into this universe, my question pertains to what actually happens when the universe does its thing and actually flips. How does what happens to life at that point?
What do you mean at that? You mean at the point of death?
No. The point of the changing of the creation in from an expansionist point to a contraction point. What happens to life? And I can't get it out of my head. I just have to understand it in some sort of sense that I can make sense of it.
I don't understand what topic you're talking about.
Okay. So the universe is its expansion for so many trillions of years. And at one point, it stops its expansion and contracts, and all life is extinguished. And then the whole of the creation moves from that point to the other point, and then another supposed Big Bang or a whoosh occurs, and life then is again produced in the universe. I don't understand what this point in time means or is.
It's just a natural process. Has no meaning. It's just a natural process of the interaction of fields. It's a phenomena which the fields interact, and there are two ways to interact. You attract or repel, and in what sequence and to what strength, to what combination you interact. There is no rhythmic, there is no sense in the world of the creation the way you talk about. The process is obvious because it's one way to go, but on the other hand, is making collapse. It's not literally Play-Doh, if you know what a Play-Doh is. When the children play a sand castle, you build one castle and you destroy it and build something else with the same sand. As humans, we would like to put sense of reason and evolution to it, but in reality it doesn't. It's irrelevant.
In essence, I was just wondering, say if in 1 trillion years from now, we were facing that and that was going to happen, and our technology was able enough for us to use to move from one universe, one creation to another creation, which is what happened to us in the past. Is this normal?
Yep.
Is it normal that people, such advanced technologies can just move and still go on living?
When the man knowledge reaches a point that we can interact with the universal community, the way we see countries disappear and we get refugees and that country doesn't exist, an island in the ocean goes on the water and its citizens become citizens of another country, the same thing happens in the universe. And when we become part of the universal community, we'll come across these refugees where they lived, where the planet or galaxy they were part of is not there anymore. It has exploded, it has gone through evolution.
Yeah.
So it's not any different. We'll come across. Some of those who are on this planet, we suppose are of the human race, are these immigrants, but they're space immigrants.
I was one of them.
We are all part of it.
You gotta love it. Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Ray, can we call it a day, please?
Yes, sure.
It's impossible for me to carry on.
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much for today. And we'll meet next time, next week. And maybe with a better news. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you for being here both on Christmas.
Sorry, I'm too
feeling well as well. So
being in bed for the past 2-3 days is impossible. Thank you very much, and see you next time.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Okay, the questions that are left over in the Q&A, if you could hold them over, maybe record them and hold them over till next week, that would be fine. And we'll see if we can get them answered then. All right, well, that brings to a close our 570th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, December 26th.
I love you guys.
Thank you, Brett.
You're welcome, my friend.
December 26th here, so-called Boxing Day. And that'll be our last Knowledge Seekers workshop in 2024. And we'll be back next week with the 571st Knowledge Seekers workshop on January 2nd. Our next public teaching workshop will be the One Planet, One Nation, One Race for Justice and World Peace. That will be on New Year's Eve, December 31st, with members of the Universal Council and support members. And it's open to the public, starting at 4 p.m. Central European Time. All right, I think that's all for now. Again, thank you everybody for being here, and have a happy holiday season if you're celebrating those holidays. And we'll see you in the next public teaching workshop, perhaps. Bye for now. We'll go out with our usual flight enhancement spaceship unit. All goes well when I attempt to play the video here. Had some conflicts recently with that. Okay, again, bye everyone, and thank you for being here. Well, sure enough, I am having an issue with it, so bear with me a second while I cancel it and attempt to resurrect the video. I think it's going to work. Now I just have to share it. And away we go.